Well, welcome everyone.
Wait a second.
Why?
Now you can say it. Go ahead. Now we're ready.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Canna-We Talk 420, where we live the changes we wish to see in the world. Hopefully, we will have our intro at some point next week because Jim wasn't able to make it with us today, and
I just don't have it uploaded onto this computer.
Yeah, so we have to do that because otherwise there's no intro, and I kind of hate that because it's almost like a cue for me, you know.
Yeah,
so I look for it.
But join us here each week, guys, and we're going to try to entertain you a bit today. We might educate you a little bit, and we will teach you how to learn to live a canna lifestyle.
You damn Skippy.
Because it's kind of what we do.
That's right.
But we've been pushing this initiative for the last 3 weeks or 4 weeks now on the show with Dr. David.
Since we started, yeah. What are we? This is what episode? Episode 7. So yeah.
How long it's been. But whatever it's been, we've been asking people to take a look at this initiative that Dr. David Allen has written to carry out in Mississippi, and there's 18 states in which can amend their own constitutions to their states. We're going to cover that a little bit today, and try to stir up some enthusiasm as far as it goes. Explain it a little bit more. Also, this isn't just a cannabis activist's mission. This should be a mission for anybody because everybody has an ECS, and importance of understanding the ECS and having doctors be able to take this plant apart and understand the 114 cannabinoids. We have no idea what they even do at this point in time, but no, they have some benefit to us. So if we could get this plant into the hands of some capable people legally, it does two things. And it does two things, as David has explained earlier. It kind of takes the legs out of them on a couple of different levels. I mean, you're going to have to deschedule in order for this to happen. You can't be a Schedule 1 any longer, because why they wouldn't allow testing on a plant that was a Schedule 1. Why? Because it has no medical benefit, but the proof is in the pudding, and we understand it.
Well, look, and I think that it's very important because the more that we learn here and the more scientific proof that we have here, the quicker we can get off these nonsensical policies that are surrounding the plant. I mean, look what Florida just did. Didn't they just cap out the THC level?
Yeah, of course. Well,
okay. Well, and that's good. Yeah. But it's a metabolic essential. Let's clarify that it's a metabolic essential. So when you understand a little bit about human physiology, which is what we learned in science class, and then you understand that you have an endocannabinoid system, and those cannabinoids neutralize oxidative stress, which slows down the aging process and promotes homeostasis. It's a no-brainer at that point, to understand the necessity of finding out more right here.
You guys have known Helen and I to be involved in this movement, if it's called that still, or whatever the hell they call cannabis activism any longer. We've been involved in this for a very, very long time. We have put our lives out there and on the line for this. We've done everything we possibly can. We can't expect or wait, and I hear this every day or see this every day on Facebook, people sitting back waiting for the Biden administration to do something with cannabis. They're not going to. Do you get this? And if they do, they're going to own the plant. So what we need to do, especially in these 18 or 19 states or 18 states that can write these amendments, are to write good amendments, write valuable amendments,
and let's just
to your constitution and get your freedoms back.
Right. That's the way. And let's give a quick reminder of what those states are. They're Arizona, right here where Pete and I are in Mother Nature's den, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Florida, Illinois, Massachusetts, Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, North Dakota, South Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, and Oregon.
Now let's put it to you. Now let me put it to you this way. She just read a list, and again, we've traveled this country how many times, guys? You know we have since 2016. We've driven across and shook hands with you through this process. What we're asking you to do is, even if you can't be physically involved with this, read the initiative. Understand that if you want to tweak it to fit your state, do so. This isn't something that has to be what it is. This is a blueprint for people to follow, to say, hey, we have been through someone that's already done this, already had it rejected a few times, thrown back to them a few times for certain reasons, and understanding the wording in this and the premise behind it.
Right.
And get behind it. And again, if you can't do something about it, but you know someone that's really, been saying to you, I'd really like to do something. I'd really like to get involved. Let them get involved. Introduce them to something like this. What do you think?
Well, I think first off, what I would like to do is tell my viewers, because many people, anybody that knows me or follows me knows that I'm all about ending prohibition. I'm not about adding on more regulation, more policy. It's not what this is about for me. Having the knowledge that I have on the ECS, human physiology, and the science behind the plant, the little tiny bit that I have is enough for me to understand that we have to end prohibition. It's simply just genocide for us, because it is a metabolic essential and everybody is different. You have to be able to experiment with that and yourself, your being, on your own. You have to be able to do that.
We're doing it on our own.
Yes,
doing it on our own since the 70s.
Forever.
Out with oils. Listen, guys, this is another thing I want you to all please be careful of. Don't argue online about whether you're right about a treatment or not. You don't know anything as well as I don't. Nobody
Exactly.
does.
All you can do is go by your own experiences.
Right. No one does, folks. We're doing the science ourselves.
That's right.
Remember that.
That's right.
There's
all our
not-
evidence
it's
is
not
anecdotal
out there.
evidence.
Right. What your experience is something and mine is going to be different. And that's why every time you hear Helen and I speak, we only speak about human physiology and how the body works.
Mm-hmm.
But then say your metabolism may be different than mine.
That's right.
You may have to ingest in a different form or way than I. Why? Because no one knows. No one does, because the studies haven't been able to be done.
That's right. One thing that I do understand about cannabis is that it's a therapy. You know, some people seem to think that you just hit something one way and that's it, and it's the cure-all, and it's just not the case. Cannabis is meant to be ingested in many different ways. That's why it's in our air, it's in our dirt, it's in our food. It was supposed to be in everything. And we're supposed to ingest it in all different ways.
Even just growing it. I mean, that's
For
great
sure.
for your mental
Handling
depression. You guys have no idea what it's like to care for and raise a plant and grow a plant and know it's going to be your medicine. And again, even if you don't smoke it, the care and life of that and the watching it evolve and that
I think that
is so therapeutic.
And I think that living in the manner that we do now, and all the years prior to us, I guess acclimating, through those years for this lifestyle that we've chosen here at Mother Nature's Den, and it really has taught us that the simpler way is just the best way for human health, for the health of the human body, and we have created a lifestyle in Maine society where it's all about convenience and comfortability, and it's just simply killing us.
Waiting to be told an answer instead of just getting the answer yourself.
For sure. And again, that's personal accountability. I preach it constantly. And this is, again, that's what the initiative is about too. It's about personal accountability in our own individual states where we can make change. And that's why Peter and I are in so many different directions, and he's got the voluntary option. We're doing what we do here on Canna We Talk because that's what it takes.
It takes
to make these changes.
Activism, guys. It can't be just one or the other. It just can't.
No, I no matter where I am educating constantly about cannabis. We just went to a local new vape shop in town just to check it out, see what's going on, and we see CBD on the counter. Anytime I see CBD, I always want to look at the label, see what's in it. Are there too many? Is there sweeteners in it that are unnecessary? I just look, because I'm curious and I know what I'm looking at, and that's the point. So I look at this label and I see on one side of the label it says contains 0.03% THC. Then I look at the ingredient label and it says contains CBD isolate and MCT oil. So there is no sweetener And then on the other side, it says THC free. Well, the whole label is a contradiction. So I had to point that out because the person that owns that store is a friend of mine. And it's this person that put this product in the store, you know, has a lot of years of experience, but so this could be a misprint. This could be just a complete lack of knowledge of the difference between CBD isolate, broad spectrum, and full spectrum.
But when you're labeling a product, you have to be precise.
You have to be precise.
Listen,
it's not.
I don't care if you got dirty sock sweat in it, personally, if it's going to work. But the fact of the matter is, if you have it in there, you have to say it. And you can't say that there are things in there that aren't in there. You can't have any THC traces using the CBD isolate at all. You can't. It's specifically CBD isolate. 99.9% most of the time is isolate, is CBD. 99.9%. And what that 0.9% are impurities from the freaking goddamn extraction process, folks.
I do love the fact that he didn't have any flavoring.
Well, no, he had a good product. We're not saying it was a bad product. Wasn't a bad product. Not labeled right. It was falsely labeled, which misleads and takes to be
right. Well, and this is the, I think, well, this is the reason why we work so hard in doing what we're doing. The one thing that Peter and I have seen, you know, in all the years that we've been doing this, is so many people who are skeptics decide to go onto the cannabis dispensary line and try something and go, yeah, that didn't work. And most of the time it's because they have no idea what they're using and how to use it. And that's a big problem, because then you got them running back onto the big pharma line where we don't want them, because it's just turning our brains off. There is no critical thinking.
If you want to go to the dispensary and have a valuable, good experience, go there to buy some good pot to smoke. And that's it. Other than that, you really aren't getting any education there. They do have oils, but they're not going to be able to tell you what to do with them, how to do with it, why they're even in the store. In 90% of stores, now don't get me wrong, there are some really good dispensaries out there. There are. I don't want to cut down bud tenders across America.
No, there are.
And things like that. But the fact of the matter is that why do you have to go there and pay such an exorbitant price when you can make this shit right in your house safely and affordably,
as we all should be doing,
as everybody should be doing?
Yes.
Now listen, are there going to be people out there that don't want to do it and can't do it? Yes, but you don't have to go to an expensive dispensary to get the same product at this. Why? Because some asshole tested it. I don't care what they tested with, to be honest with you. I have never, in any case of cannabis being extracted in 65,000 different ways with plant growers and all sorts of crap, and not decarboxylated or flushed properly and all of that. And nobody still died from cannabis. Nobody still had ill effects from it. So I will take all of that shit if somebody wants to grow and miracle grow, which they shouldn't. But I'm just saying, why does it have to be tested to see if that's in there? Nobody's going to die anyway, folks. Nobody's going to die from this substance.
No.
And nobody's going to have suicidal tendencies and cancer and immediate death and heart failure and diabetes or any of these other side effects that come along with the things that you take your medicines to prevent. When I looked the other day and saw the commercial that said, take this for osteoporosis because your bones are weak, but yet you're going to have broken bones. What the hell am I taking something to prevent something that's going to give me something?
The funniest one, wait a minute, the funniest one, which was full of so much ridiculum, it was not even, I couldn't even believe it, but it was hilarious, was that birth control one.
Oh my jeez. Listen, it says shit. They now have these sticks now that you can use for birth control. Ladies, just be warned, okay? You won't get pregnant, but you'll get an itchy vagina from UTIs. It'll have discomfort and odor. You'll have pain in your vagina. So you're right. You ain't gonna get pregnant with a smelly, hurting. But you're not gonna want to have sex to be so uncomfortable that she wants nothing to do with it.
So uncomfortable and smelly.
All right, yeah. I mean, what the hell is wrong, man? Wear a condom.
No, but wait a minute. But this is the issue. This is what we need to be looking at. When those words and those commercials are coming across our televisions, and there aren't minds looking like, what the fuck did I just hear?
I know.
And scratching your head. But no, most of the people that have that flashing across their TV are like this,
And we know,
and they hear nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on,
we
man.
didn't even list all of the side effects, but they were the ones I looked right at hell and I go, well, honey, you wouldn't have to worry about
I was
it.
in the kitchen
If you
going,
were itchy,
what the hell
smelly,
is
and in
this
pain, I'm not
saying?
having sex anyway. So what the hell's the difference? And when she's laughing, when she heard him smelly disgust, she starts crying.
Yeah, nobody's getting laid dead.
Who wants to use this thing? I swear to God, all to not get pregnant. So don't take a bath and be a pig and have the same problems, and you won't spend any money, and you can.
I don't look. I think that when these big pharma commercials came out, I was, because they were nowhere else, just here, and because you couldn't do that on TV. But let me tell you, the more brazen these commercials got, and the fact that we didn't all stand up and scream and shout like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" That's so unacceptable to hear and see on my TV screen.
Yeah.
That I'm appalled, I'm pissed,
Yeah.
but that didn't happen.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
It's not gonna. You want to know why? Because people here at the end of the thing, just ask your doctor or tell your.
No.
Listen, they don't even tell you to ask your doctor anymore. They tell you to tell your doctor. Why? Because your doctor don't even know about this stuff yet. Why? He'll Google it himself and he'll go, "That's all right. Yeah, you won't get pregnant, but you're gonna have a smelly vagina. It's gonna itch and you're gonna have pain." Who wants that? Here, take this.
Oh my
Here,
God!
take
I couldn't
this.
believe it.
Take this, but don't take it if you're allergic to it. Why do you gotta tell me to not take something if I'm allergic to it? Do I look that stupid? Well, I guess so, because you're making people take these things to begin with. I don't understand why they can get away with it. But I don't understand how they get away with it in the public eye. I'm not even care. I mean, of course, the TV stations are going to let them
public is asleep.
Say whatever they want to say on there. But for people to look at this and not be appalled, they go back and go.
That's what I'm saying.
I just listened to 45 seconds of stuff that's going to make me sick to make me better. Come on, man.
I mean, well, the fact that people aren't hearing all that they should be hearing in these commercials, and they're only hearing what the name of the drug and what they think it might help them with. They don't hear all the stuff in between, and then they run out and they talk to their doctor about it, and they boom, get that script. And it can't, you can't expect to have good health when you make choices like that in that manner. Right. You just can't.
Right. And then we were listening to the news the other day too as well, and Arizona is now bumping up their testing on cannabis that's going into dispensaries. Folks, listen. If you think it's unusual that's going on here, it's not. This is the game, and you all fell for the game, and you all played the game, and we all landed in the lap of the game anyway. Oh, they're going to legalize cannabis. Everybody over 21 can grow. Anybody over 21 can have 6 plants. Everybody over 21 can go to a dispensary and buy cannabis. That's that and the other thing. But wait a minute. Who's testing that cannabis? Who tested the pot and that dude you bought on the corner from, you moron? You bought pot on the corner from the guy on the corner for 40 years of your life. Now you want testing of your marijuana that takes the price up here. Why? Because you got regulations and you have all this other bullshit that comes along with your legalization, comes along with it. Let's end the madness. Right. Let's stop the foolishness. Let's stop making government rich on something that's supposed to be there for you to be able to use for your enjoyment, for your health, to rub on your ears. Hey, I don't care if you use it as a contraceptive if you find a way. I don't care. But you can do everything with this plant. We've proven it. We have proven that this plant and every form of genus that it has a specific and important job. From hemp replacing plastic and building materials to cannabis, helping people with all sorts of health issues. And in general, just having cannabinoids reintroduced back into our earth, into our air, into our everyday life, so that homeostasis, madness, crazy thought, calm can finally come back around.
That's right. That's right. We can find some. We are so out of balance as a society that my God, we are just a sinking ship because of that. And it's got to change. You know, Peter and I were watching that reality show, 1,000 Pound Sisters.
Yeah.
Wow. And, you know, you got one sister that's really, you know,
knocking it out of the park,
knocking it
trying
out of the
hard,
park. And
doing
then you
everything
got
she
the other
can.
one that is just
Just
in her way,
needs
in
everything
her way,
done.
in her way. And, you know, social media can be really, really
Horrible,
hard.
rotten, yeah. Sorry.
Social media can be really hard on that situation, and the things that are being told to that one sister are just not helping her out. I mean, she just needs to look at her sister in a different way. Like, look at take the positive from what her, instead of focusing on the jealousy that she's feeling that she's not right there with her. She needs to focus on the accomplishment that her sister got and know how doable it is for herself. But you must be your own frontline warrior in whatever your fight is. And that fight that she's fighting is for her life. And when you're fighting for your life, whatever the situation is, you must be your frontline warrior. Right. You have to have that personal accountability, or you don't have any business.
This is what, again, that the government and what the news and what everything has done, and it did it to this poor girl.
That's
too.
right.
And it really did. The
Sure
girl weighed
did.
650 pounds. She had to get down to 550 pounds to get the surgery done. She got down to 550 pounds. COVID hit. She couldn't go back to the doctors. COVID hit. She said she was bored and she had to. You are 650 pounds. What is COVID changed? You didn't leave the house for 5 years. But they used this fear and everything else, and they made her feel like because of COVID and because of it, she gained back the damn weight. She gained back.
And
so it's not like she can't do it.
No.
You know what I mean? Like she can.
But what she also needs is a good cannabis regimen that she doesn't have.
Absolutely.
Because, again, it is a metabolic essential.
Absolutely. She should be juicing. She should be
for sure.
You know,
for sure.
Just even taking some kind of a supplement each morning just to help with her appetite.
Yeah.
I mean, remember, folks, cannabis is not only
all right. So
cannabis won't only stimulate your appetite; it'll suppress it as well. It just depends on what strains we use, which cannabinoids are more prevalent.
Yes.
And how we ingest.
Yes. So I see that there's a lot of comments that are coming through, and we have this stream going through so many social media sites that I can see that I have some Facebook comments, and I just want you, whoever's talking, I do see Dana Bland. Hi, Dana. How are you? Someone is saying, hi, guys, and someone else is saying, wish I could share this. Unfortunately, it comes up on my side as Facebook user, and I don't see your name. So excuse me, Peter.
There's only one you can't share from, so they must be watching from cannabis country.
Great. Regardless,
okay. I'm just telling watch.
Please put your name in the comments, because I don't know who I'm talking to. So I'd like to be able to talk to each and every one of you that I see come across. So if you could do that, that'd be great.
Yeah, if we don't respond to you. Again, if we don't respond to you, because it's like she's saying, it says Facebook to use.
Slow your brain down, man. He's out of mushrooms.
I'm out of mushrooms. I talk fast when I
talk fast. My God, man. Well, whatever's spinning in there has to spit out exactly when it's spinning in here. God forbid he hold on to it for 2 seconds.
Let's break it down. Let's break it down.
Let's do that, shall we?
We have cannabis country, Mother Nature's Den. We have voluntary option. We have cannabis country. We have solidarity over separation. We have Helen's Holistic Hands. We've got a farm. We've got her that gets back and forth to work. We've got cars that haven't even been running for 3 days before I have to either replace them or fix them. There's a lot going on in that little brain of mine all the time. On top of wanting to do a beautiful podcast here, one on Wednesday night, and solve the world's problems.
Holy shit. You'd have to slow down and know what you're doing first. Otherwise, you make mistakes.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I'm human. I'm supposed to make mistakes, folks.
How's that? I can't, man. I can't.
Hey, now listen. She's right, but it has a lot to do. It has a lot to do with me not having my shrooms. So my brain goes 6,000 miles an hour.
Yeah. Where's my sledgehammer?
But what I will. Good. David's backstage. We'll get him on in another couple minutes here. Yeah, we're gonna be bringing David Allen on.
He saw that we needed a referee.
Another. I love you, dog. we don't need a damn referee. We're just doing what we do. We'll be bringing David on in just a couple minutes. And when we do, again, pay attention to this list of states in which you can write your own amendments to the Constitution within. If Helen would be so kind as to read them down again. I'll start it out with Arizona, Arkansas, Colorado.
You want to continue? It's Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Florida, Illinois, Massachusetts, Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, North and South Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, and Oregon.
And again, like we say, this is something we would hope activists would get involved in, that are cannabis activists, that are people that are associated with the Libertarian Party. We believe that the drug war has been nothing but the biggest problem in America for decades.
We have to unmask the education so we can unshackle the plant.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. There's just so many nonsensical policies out there surrounding this plant that shouldn't be. And doing it this way and having our doctors, our scientists have the freedom to research the plant is what is going to do that ultimately end prohibition. So
that's right, because there's not much. What validity are regular humans?
We need logical yes, for sure.
Even though logical, regular humans are just as intelligent and just as capable of doing this thing, they're not going to get the notoriety as somebody that has that piece of paper hanging on the wall. And that's just it's an unfortunate happenstance in America. That's the way we do things. We don't. The way I look at it is you don't go to the farmer and you say, "Can I see your degree in agriculture? You don't know how to grow peppers. I'll just eat your peppers if you grow them good." You know what I'm saying? So but again, that's the way we're going to get notoriety. The way we're going to knock this plant down from scheduling. We're going to enforce jury nullification so people can understand that good people should not be in jail for Mother Nature. Not for something
ever.
That grows out of this ground.
Nope.
People are going to jail for life, sometimes without the possibility of parole for. We've had great success this year. We really have. And applaud the administrations that have put forth referendums to get some of these refugees out of jail. But it's not over yet. We still have people behind bars. And until everyone is out, exonerated, records are expunged, we don't have to worry about these people no more. We're going to continue our fight to keep this going.
Are you going to bring David on?
Sure, let's bring David on now. If I can bring him up here. We'll see if I can get him added to the screen. This computer of ours just takes a little bit of time sometimes. So we just have to, we go with the flow with it. And,
well, it's really the internet that we have an issue with. It's always.
Well, yeah, it's
we're off grid, so streaming is always a challenge.
Everything's through satellite.
It's trying to catch up. So we're going to bring you on as soon as this computer catches up.
Yeah, once
David.
It catches up, David, you'll pop on the screen and we'll be
You will. We've clicked it.
In a few minutes. But what it's doing right now, that's what it is. It's the internet's trying to catch up.
I know. He's coming.
Right,
he's coming.
He'll be coming up here in just a second.
He's a-coming. There's the doc.
Peace, David. How are we this evening?
Good evening.
How are you?
What
happened to him?
I don't know. Let's try to do this again. We had him for a second. Up. No.
Talking. Peter.
It's got nothing to do with David. But anyway.
No, it's definitely our internet, and we have high winds today too.
Anyway, like I was saying, this is something that we're trying to take something and change an amendment of a constitution of a state.
Yes.
This to me makes it automatically political. That means to me, if you're involved in a party, if you have any pull in a party, if you have any say in a party, at least read the initiative, see if it benefits you, see if you need to tweak it, whatever you need to do, whatever makes it happy in your little.
Look, the bottom line is we are in a time of some big, serious change. And if we don't, the people, the woke, critical thinking people get out there and make a change on a political level, we're going to be changing in a direction that none of us are liking or wanting. So we need to get ourselves directed in the right way, which is the path to homeostasis. And that's with the plant.
David's up there.
Well, hello, Doc. I think we got you back.
Go on. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We're good. Yep. Good.
All right, great.
Good.
Good evening.
Loud and
How's
clear,
it going?
Doc.
Yeah,
Well-
tonight we've been talking. Tell them what we've been talking about tonight. Yeah, we're doing good. Tonight we were talking about the initiative. We list the states again. We want to break it down though a little bit more tonight. We want to actually look at the initiative, have you go over some of the lines in it, what you feel is important, what you feel isn't important, or which we feel has the most importance, and what is really going to grab some teeth in this.
Okay, great. So I wrote this initiative because I was involved with David Singletary. He ran for governor here in Mississippi, and on a cannabis legalization platform, and he didn't win. But they just recently, he was also involved with this Initiative 65, and that did pass, and it had a lot of money behind it, but. And it's not a it's a cannabis legalization for medical use. It has a lot of bad things about it, but at least it's going to allow some people to use cannabis in the state. But if you don't have a cannabis card and you're not a medical patient, they can still give you 20 years in jail for a pound. So
Wonderful.
It's not the best thing, and you can't grow at home, so it sets up a monopoly, and it also sets up a seed to sales tracking. And I really hate seed to sales tracking and the people that support that, because it's Chicago gangsterism in its finest. So I want to be
That's
the
right.
guy that sells the tags that you have to put on your plants and make them legal. And because if you pay me to put these little tags on your plant, then it's going to be legal for you to grow that plant. And I'm the only one that can sell and profit from these little tags. And the reason it's Chicago gangsterism is because you're talking about tagging a plant that you can clone. So there's no such thing as seed to sales tracking on plants that you can clone. But these non-pot smokers think that this is somehow logical, that you should pay some guy for a tag that he puts on your plant. And they even went to further extremes. So that at first they were going to have these little plastic tags that they put around the base of your plant, and they'd have video that goes directly to the police to see if you're growing more plants than you should be, and they track it from where it's grown to where it's tested, and from where it's tested to where it's sold. And so it's they in California, they even suggested that they have like GPS trackers on the cars that were transporting cannabis, and you had to have two drivers and all kinds of crazy stuff. They don't even have that for gold, I don't think. Well, maybe, but
Right, I know.
Right.
Hey,
it's
David, let me ask you something. Do you think that do you think that their logic is with that little plastic tag on it, and all of a sudden made it a non-dangerous plant? Because isn't that their argument with us all the time, that this plant is so dangerous?
well,
But they put a little
they don't
tag on it,
explain
and it became a non-dangerous.
they don't explain it much. They just put the law in, seed to sales tracking, and everybody says, "Oh, that sounds good," but they don't think, they don't even have the concept that this is a plant that can clone. They're not knowledgeable enough. They're making laws about cannabis, but they're not knowledgeable enough to know that plants have have a vegetative state and then a flowering state. So they go through two stages, and in the vegetative state, you can clone the plants, and so they don't know
course you
this
can.
critical information, and so they come up with these stupid ideas because they don't smoke pot. They don't have any concept of what pot is. They think that pot makes you a crazy driver and it's going to kill your
That's
children and make
right.
you stupid. But they don't know because they don't use it. So these people that are
Right.
not using cannabis are making laws regarding cannabis, and they don't know stink about cannabis. So, and I was exposed to a bunch of legalization stuff in California because I was with the Human Solution International with Joe Grumbine, and we would do court support for people that were charged with cannabis crimes. And at first we would go to these courts, and sometimes there'd be 30, 40 people in there with these little ribbons on with red crosses and stuff. And the courts used to doing their stuff kind of in the dark. So the court usually has the judge and the court reporter and the prosecutor and the accused and their lawyer and maybe some of the family, but they never have 30, 40 people in there. And so we would shake the game of these prosecutors, and sometimes I would get to testify as expert witness. And so I did a bunch of court support like that, and then I was doing some family law. People accused of cannabis crimes, and they would take their children away. And then I got, as cannabis got more legalized, what happened was since you can't file criminal charges in California against people that have just a little bit of pot, they would have code enforcement come look at your property. And since code enforcement is not police, they're not bound by the rules of police, like you got to get a warrant and stuff. They don't have to get a warrant because they're not police. So they could fly drones over your property, and there's no schools for identifying pot plants from the air. There's no school in the United States that does that. So these stupid code enforcement people, I call them garden police, would fly a drone over your property and accuse somebody of a cannabis crime, and then they would charge abatement fees. And sometimes the abatement would be $1,000 a day or more, and they would charge that against your taxes. And so they would take you to court in code enforcement buildings. They would hire a lawyer. He would be the code hearing officer. And they would have two garden police come testify against you. Since it's not a criminal charge, you don't get a lawyer and you don't get a jury. And that's the key to the whole thing. The drug war rests on, they have to have 12 jurors to say guilty. And if one juror says not guilty, then it ruins the drug war business plan. And so they had to get the jury out of the equation so they could still make money on cannabis. So by doing this, they make it semi-legal, and therefore they can still charge you with cannabis crimes and take your property away from you. If you don't, when you die, they could just take your property. So this is another way of property seizure for cannabis crimes. So this obviously is not cannabis legalization. This is cannabis prohibition 2.0. So it's morphed into another form. It's morphed into another form. So since I had this knowledge and I came to Mississippi, nobody here in Mississippi knows what semi-legalization of cannabis can hurt you still.
Right.
Mhm.
So I
Right.
felt, seriously, I felt that I was on a mission from God. And I say that with all sincerity, that I had special knowledge and education and exposure. Not that I'm smarter than anybody, but I had this experience of going through the drug war, going through being held in prison pre-trial. Was 18. I did 18 months pre-trial. So
Yeah.
um,
Life experiences put him in the right
it
place.
it
the
was
right frame of mind.
a nightmare. And so I had my property seized. I got my property back after police had it seized for 3 years. And I'm probably the only person to ever get my property back after police seizure. So after
Mm.
knowing all of this and knowing that it was fairly easy to start uh, uh, an initiative. Now, I have no idea where I'm going to be able to get money to get signatures for this initiative. And so this thing could easily fall flat on its face. I sent it in the third time. It was rejected twice. Every time it's rejected, I rewrite it. It gets a little bit stronger. And this last time, I created a cannabis control um, company, I guess, and it's got a head, and it starts a cannabis bank and a cannabis where you can sell your cannabis to the government. Um, so just I'm going to kind of go over this fairly fast, I guess, and tell you the
Sure.
highlight of this. So it's called the real legalization and decriminalization of cannabis and hemp in Mississippi, and legalization of medical and scientific study of cannabis and hemp. Now, this has never been done. This would be the first time that doctors have written law that protects them so they can do clinical trials on cannabis, and all they have to do is get patient informed consent. And so the opening statement is cannabis is a nutraceutical and metabolic necessity and should be in the diet of humans and animals to help control homeostasis. Anti-cannabis laws have ruined many family lives for using a flower that has so many benefits. Under current controlled substance law, CSA, no physician can study cannabis without special permission that is routinely denied. Many state attempts at partial legalization have resulted in the continuation of the war on cannabis in a modified form and continued arrest of citizens and seizure of property. Any restrictions on plant limits or amounts possessed means partial legalization. So if you say you can only
That's
have
right.
12 plants, that means you got to have an army of people to come on your property to check and make sure you don't have 13 plants. And so we
Right.
don't want another drug war with a bunch of police coming on our property checking to see if we got too much cannabis or too much anything. So we want it legal,
Mhm.
just like any commodity. Okay, just like
Right.
broccoli.
That's right.
Yeah.
So any restriction on plant limits or possession means a partial legalization and an army of police and government compliance inspectors on your property. If we don't end the drug war, we are passing it on to our children. This
That's
initiative is
right.
designed, and this is specially worded, as a single issue. This initiative is designed as a single issue to end the drug war on cannabis and hemp and establish Mississippi as the first state where unrestricted medical and scientific study of cannabis and hemp are allowed by law. Now that
Right.
they have turned down a bunch of initiatives because they said they had more than one legal issue. And so the initiative process, actually, I don't think it says this in wording. Their interpretation of it is, if you write an initiative, it can only be one piece of law. But as you know, the war on cannabis has a bunch of arms to it. So the single issue of this initiative is to end the drug war, and there's multiple areas that we got to change to end the drug war. And so plant limits and quantities held are really
right.
big issues. And so the federal government gets involved with any state cases that have over 100 plants. So the federal government doesn't get involved with anything under 99 plants. So at first, I said that regular people can grow unlimited number of plants, but that seems a little foolish. And if we just state 99 plants, we're under the federal limits, and then the state can give license for anything in multiples above 100 plants. So if you have 60,000 plants, they would pay a bigger price than if you were growing 200, and there would be no license required for under 99 plants. And you can have as much cannabis on you as you want without breaking any laws. Now, once you grow your cannabis or hemp, anything that you don't use personally, you can sell to a cannabis exchange that the state will run. And what they'll do is they'll test your pot or hemp. They'll charge a 1% fee, and then they will put it on the open market for people to sell. And and you can trade cannabis as barter untaxed. But if you sell it for money, you have to pay a 7% tax, and so they would take that out at the cannabis exchange. They would take 8% out, 1% for them, 7% for tax. So
Brilliant.
So this makes, if you can use cannabis as barter, this changes the meaning of cannabis, and it actually makes cannabis money, untaxable money. So you could take your hemp or cannabis, and if you needed some work on your car,
all the control.
if you need to work on your car, you can make a deal with the car guy to you give him some of your cannabis in exchange for fixing your car. How about that? So licensed
great day.
So licensed physicians are the only ones.
For sure.
Licensed physicians are the only ones that can decide medical indications for cannabis use as medicine. No politician or lawyer can make that decision. The initiative here had like 20 conditions, and I'm saying that there's no way that there's just 20 conditions that cannabis can be used for. So, for instance, I believe cannabis will be used as a burn treatment, and treating burn not on the indications that cannabis is legal for here in the States. So there's many other indications for use of cannabis, and I don't think that they should limit it only your doctor can make the decision that cannabis might or might not help your specific medical condition. And Dennis Perone said it first, that all cannabis use is medical. And they really freaked out when he said that. And the truth is,
Yeah,
I like to add the caveat
yeah, you can't.
that all cannabis use is medical, even if you don't understand the complex science of the endocannabinoid signaling system. So a bunch of dumb
That's
people
right.
use cannabis successfully. They may not know it's being used for medicine. They just take a hit and say, "Oh, yeah, I feel better." But that doesn't mean it's not helping them medically. Okay?
That's right.
So
That's right.
physicians and veterinarians may conduct medical studies on cannabis, hemp, and all derivatives, and they don't just with informed consent. Starting after this thing passed, there will be no arrest for cannabis. Uh, uh, Arrest for cannabis associated flower crimes must have a victim or property loss. No arrest for cannabis or derivatives will occur. Only citations with a maximum fine of $500 are allowed. That's for like people smoking where they in a theater or something where they shouldn't be smoking. This will result in a dramatic reduction in the expenses for law enforcement. The only exception for arrest would be unlicensed interstate transfer. So interstate transfer is already federally illegal. I assume at some point they'll license interstate transfer. Also, DUI or DWI with proof of impairment. So just smelling pot on you doesn't reach the criteria. They have to prove that you're
How do you
impaired
accomplish
while you're
that,
driving.
Doc?
Well, that's their problem, not mine. And the truth is, 30-40% of the people that you see on the road today are smoking cannabis.
How would you
Some
be
of
able
them
to do that?
some of them with bongs in their car while they're driving by, and you can't tell that they're high. This high is the bad word, actually. It's a propaganda term. They're euphoric and they
Mhm.
pay attention and they drive slower
Yeah.
and more
Ripping
careful.
gas.
Yep.
This is not
Yep.
this is not everybody. There's a study called you can look it up as the NIH study, sexual difference in driving performance under the influence of marijuana. And it's a government study, and they don't really come to the right conclusion. But if you look at table two, and I've seen that they've actually tried to hide table two because I mentioned this 8 years ago. Table two shows what they did was they put men and women in a driving simulator, and they measured their reaction times and crash avoidance, a bunch of stuff, and they let them do it before and then they let them do it again after they were high, inebriated or uh, euphoric on cannabis. And the table two shows that women didn't have any difference in their reaction time or crash avoidance. That's remarkable in itself. But men had 1.1 seconds faster reaction time and 3 times better crash avoidance. So this government study proves that under certain circumstances, not everything, under certain circumstances, you're a better driver when you're stoned than when you're straight. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
new people
Medical.
that smoke
For sure.
cannabis are afraid of driving. It's got its own governor on it. If you give a new person some pot, they don't want to drive. But people that have been using it for years that know how to use it, they know uh, that they're not impaired by driving, and so um, and the exact same concept applies to schizophrenia. So schizophrenia is about 1% of the population anywhere on earth that you look. And it's been stable, 1% of the population, since the early 30s. So since that disease process has not changed and cannabis use has dramatically increased, we should see an increase in schizophrenia. We should also see an increase in car crashes related to marijuana, if that was the truth, but it's not the truth. So cannabis
No, it
doesn't
isn't.
make you, and it doesn't make you a bad driver.
Not at all. Nope.
So it says, so I went over the adults can use all forms and quantities of cannabis and grow 99 plants without a license. And they can use it for barter, untaxed, and cash sales would require 7% tax. Anyone that can't grow can have a caregiver grow for them. Now, this is kind of what Eddie Lepp did. What he did was people were paying $4,000 a pound for pot, and so he had some property, and so he made contracts with people, and he would charge them, I think, $600. They'd pay the $600 to him. He'd use that money to plant seeds, and they could harvest 6 plants at the end of the season. And so with that business model, he grew 60,000 plants and was caught by the feds and had to do 8 years in prison for it. So, but that business model is still, people that can't grow, caregivers are essential. And there's full reciprocity for out-of-state adults, no state or local restrictions on gardens. So that's the other issue. So pot haters in certain cities in California say, you're not going to grow here. We're making an ordinance against it. So this prevents local pot haters from preventing you from getting medicine. Property cannot be seized by the state or outside agencies for cannabis or hemp associated crimes. There's no identification card and no database for adult use. For medical use, there will be a one-time fee for a cannabis card that identifies you as a medical patient, and it's one time for life. So once you're a cannabis patient, you're always a cannabis patient. This was upheld in courts of law in California.
Right. And that's the way it should be. Hey, David, what we're going to do is we're going to stop right there at point number 7. We're going to pick that up next week and pick up the initiative from there. Again, everybody, if you're in one of these 18 states, let's get involved some way. Even again, if you can't take the whole bull by the horns, let us know you're interested. Let's we can get some.
And let's find some help for you to do it. And it's so important. And this is
start term limits or
just
something
can't be
simple.
ignored.
Start term limits.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Donation. If you can
For
stop
sure.
campaign
100% with you on both of
donations,
those
you'll
things.
change the property. You change the state.
I'm 100% with them on all that stuff.
Yes.
There's too much thievery that goes on behind it.
You can do a segment on your show on the voluntary option on making changes like that through initiatives in these states.
I'm planning on doing that anyway.
So,
Got camera off coming on soon.
All right, so we'll see you next week, Doc. I thank you so much for coming on. As always, it's my pleasure. You are my hero.
Okay, cool. Everybody,
See you
again,
next week.
look for Dr. David Allen on Facebook. David's a great guy, very again approachable, very knowledgeable, and again he has this initiative going that we really should look into getting behind. Well, we got 1 minute left. In that time, we're going to tell you, please visit our Teespring account. Please visit our website, www.cannawetalk42small.com, and you will see all our services and all we offer, as well as our Patreon account. You can get all of that stuff right on there. We're not going to bore you and beg you for money. We're going to tell you to go on there and look for some cool stuff. I mean, listen, man, we got mugs, we got banners, we've got it all. So we've been having a good time. We have we're having a
And
good
here-
time making this stuff.
Yes,
honestly,
and
yeah.
here at Mother Nature's Den, Peter's been, hard at work at making
Medicine.
all kinds of medicines. So
Medicine.
we are really catering to CBD isolate and CBG as we understand the importance of them both. And
We'll take care of anybody though.
for sure.
Mm.
That's for sure. So just take a look on the website. And until next time, be the best you that you can be simply by living the changes that you want to see.
And guys, don't forget, we always say, man, to truly understand yourself, you need to lose yourself through the service of others, just like Gandhi would say. And it's
You're
true.
damn skippy.
So do something good, not random acts of kindness.
Just
Let's
because.
Just be kind. Hey, isn't that a beautiful thought?
Integrity is.
That's right. Awesome, guys. Till
See
next
ya.
week. Peace. We'll see you.